Hello everyone, I hope that you're all well. Today I'm going to take a look at 10 ladies who have carved their own little bit of flesh out of the horror domain and earned themselves a place in the pantheon of evil. In fairy tales, maybe women are often damsels in distress, but in the world of horror, these ladies do their own fighting, not to mention their own killing, and seem to have a lot of fun while doing it. They bear fangs, they wield knives and chainsaws, cast horrific spells and curses. Now, if there are a bunch of ladies that I would dare anybody, including Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees or Harvey Weinstein, to harass, discriminate against, or simply cross paths with, it's these 10 diabolical days. First up at number 10 we have Rose the Hat from Dr. Sleep, adapted from Stephen King's book of the same name. Rose is the leader of a group of psychic vampires known as True Knot, who feed on the life force of young children with special abilities. What makes her particularly evil, though, is her willingness to do whatever it takes to stay alive, even if it means murdering innocent children. One memorable scene from the film shows Rose hunting down a young boy with psychic powers, and she does so with a level of sinister manipulation that is, simply put, pure evil. With her top hat and retro Victorian style, Rebecca Ferguson, the actress, delivers a chillingly charismatic performance that is utterly ruthless, disturbing, not to mention comes with a lot of magnetic. At number 9 we have Beatrice Dalle, who plays La Femme in the French horror movie Inside. La Femme is one particularly disturbed individual who breaks into another woman's home in order to steal her unborn child. What makes her particularly deranged, though, is the actual glee that she takes in causing pain and suffering to anybody who will dare stand in her way. Now, if I have to choose the most disturbing scene from any movie on this list, it's probably a scene from this film, and it basically involves La Femme, a pair of scissors, and a pregnant woman. If you haven't seen this movie and are thinking of doing so, then take this episode as a warning. Now, I don't really know what's more disturbing. Is it the actual character of La Femme or Beatrice Dalle's tour de force performance that is absolutely brilliant in the way that it conveys deranged obsession? She does so to perfection, ferocious, horrific, and not to mention mesmerizing. At number 8 we have the ultimate mollycoddling mama, Norma Bates, from Alfred Hitchcock's classic Psycho. Norma was played by Virginia Gregg in the original film, but also brilliantly portrayed by Vera Farmiga in the 2013 TV series Bates Motel. Both actresses gave memorable performances, portraying a woman whose overprotective love for her son turns into something much darker. Not to mention would probably give Jordan Peterson and Gabor Mate a psychoanalysis field day. Norma's character has become a cultural touchstone, and her relationship with her son Norman has been the subject of countless parodies and tributes. Her presence looms large over the entire Psycho franchise, and her twisted love for her son is probably one of the most memorable elements of this film. Audition is a Japanese horror movie that holds an 81% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and maybe part of the film's effectiveness is due to its antagonist, Asami, a mysterious woman who lures a lonely widower into a sadistic game of pain, torture, and death. What makes this character particularly deranged, though, is her calm and collected demeanor as she inflicts terrible horror on her victim. And one scene that showcases her particular brand of sadism is one that sees her sawing off the foot of her victim with a wire saw, her face completely emotionless as she proceeds. Ai Shiina's haunting performance is in equal parts terrifying as well as enigmatic, and her descent into madness is something that sat with me long after the end credits roll. Sandwiched between A Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, Wes Craven not only brought us another classic horror film, but another iconic horror baddie. This one simply called Mommy, or Mrs. Robeson, in the horror movie The People Under the Stairs. She is a twisted matriarch who rules over a group of cannibalistic brutes living in the basement of her house. What makes her particularly evil is her sadistic glee in torturing and killing anyone who enters her domain, as can be experienced in the scene that shows Mommy chasing a young boy through the house with a shotgun, cackling with glee as she fires. Ugh. Now there is a good chance that we would never have witnessed the horror of The Exorcist, The Omen, or more recently Orphan, if not for the character of Rhoda from the 1956 horror movie The Bad Seed. Here the evil is not a monster in a mask, but rather a sweet little girl in pigtails. Sweet and innocent on the outside, but lurking beneath is a cold-blooded killer. Don't let the cute little dress or the blue eyes fool you. This is a deranged little manipulator who will stop at nothing to get what she wants. And who can forget that scene where Rhoda pushes a classmate down a flight of stairs and then later lies to her mother about what really happened. It is a masterful portrayal of evil in the shape of innocence. In 1994, Peter Jackson not only brought us his own brand of horror called Dead Alive, but he also brought us one particularly deranged damsel, Vera Cosgrove, a mother bitten by a deadly rat monkey who later transforms into a zombie. Her wacky yet insatiable hunger for human flesh and her willingness to infect anyone and everyone is more hilarious than it is horrific, but Elizabeth Moody's comedic genius certainly deserves a mention on this list. Number 3. No list of nasty ladies would be worth its salt without Mrs. White from Carrie. Mrs. White is the mother of the titular character, a telekinetic girl who is mercilessly bullied at school. Behind all the insecurity and confusion is a religious, fanatical mother who believes her daughter's powers are the work of the devil. I still can't quite forget the scene of Mrs. White stabbing her daughter with a knife in an attempt to kill her. Played by Piper Laurie, she brought a twisted religious fervor to the role and was to me a standout in an already brilliant film filled with memorable characters. Not only will Annie Wilkes from Stephen King's Misery leave you with a pair of aching ankles, but this nurse who becomes obsessed with a famous writer and holds him captive in her remote cabin is also particularly vicious because of her friendly cruelty, her crazy unpredictability, as well as her willingness to go to extreme lengths to keep her captive under her control. Kathy Bates brilliantly sledgehammered her way to an Academy Award for this role, but it's sometimes easy to forget, within all of that praise, her brilliant balancing act between vulnerability and menace, humor and horror, and not to mention also obsession and tragedy. Some of you might not agree with me, but in my opinion, horror's most kick-ass chick is the most iconic, even though she only appears for a few minutes towards the end of the film. The bride from Bride of Frankenstein is a woman created out of spare parts and brought to life by Dr. Frankenstein's mad experiments. Although she only appears briefly in the film, the bride is unforgettable, instantly recognizable, and timelessly memorable, with her wild hair and her hissing, terrified reactions to the monster who has been created to be her mate. She's a trailblazer in the sense that she's the first female monster to appear on screen, and her iconic look has inspired countless imitators over the years. Also, let's not forget Helena Bonham Carter's portrayal in the underrated Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, directed by Kenneth Branagh. The bride's brief appearance in film has left a timeless mark on the history of horror. So there you have it, folks, my top 10 list of the most diabolical, twisted, unforgettable, not to mention maddest and baddest ladies in the world of horror. From Rose the Hat to Norma Bates, I think that all of these ladies have left an indelible mark on the genre. But maybe I missed someone. If you think that there is a particular damsel of darkness that should have made this list, hit me in the comments below. And while you're at it, also hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope to see you next time too. Stay safe, stay happy.